Let the interview begin.
So, hello, welcome to the Full of Nerds podcast, and I'm here with Steve Troop. Hi, Steve. Thanks for being here.
Hi, how are you doing?
I'm doing very well, thanks. How are you?
I'm great.
Good. So, obviously, you do puppetry, and you're a cartoonist, obviously, aren't you? On Melon Pool, is it called? You?
Yeah. I did Melon Pool for a long time. I'm gonna bring it back pretty quick, but I've been doing a cartoon about my dog lately called Sit Till He Sit.
Oh, cool.
And yeah, so it's on Instagram and Facebook and whatnot, and have some books.
Oh, nice. So, how did the creation about that come about, of Melon Pool?
Melon Pool originally, I wanted to do newspaper comics, forever. When I was in high school, that's all I wanted to do. And then when newspapers kind of went down, out, I started putting stuff on the internet. And so in 1996, I had one of the first web comics, and I was doing my comic, which is about a bunch of space aliens on Earth and dealing with pop culture and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And it was just basically whatever I was interested in. Ended up going into the comics, and then I built puppets to help promote the comic at the comic conventions.
Nice.
And they ended up getting almost more fan following than the comics did. And after about 10 years, I decided I was just going to do comics. Just going to do puppets. And so that's basically how I got into puppetry.
Nice. And so, what made you start this new project you're doing about your dog?
Well, I hadn't drawn anything for about 5 years, and I participated in that Inktober thing that goes on. About a year and a half ago, or last October before last. Yeah. And about 5 comics into it, I started drawing ones about my dog, and all the people at work were like, "You should just stop doing the Inktober, and you should just do comics about your dog." And so that's what I did, and they all started drawing it on little Post-it notes, and I generated like 280 of them in about 4 months.
Oh, wow.
And
nice.
And so then I, redrew them and started collecting these books together. And let's see, I got my books right here. These are the 3 books that are available.
Oh, so, cool.
Yeah. So it's been kind of a fun thing, especially during the quarantine, because I can just sit here and an idea comes to me, I put it on a Post-it note, and a few months later it's in a book. Yeah.
Nice. So what's the plan with that going forward?
Well, I think I have an idea for, I want to do a treasury where I kind of talk about the process, doing all the comics. So that'll be the 4th book. Then the 5th book, I want to do a time travel book where Tilly goes through time and alters. So each page is a different thing of her. And then I think the 6th book will probably be just whatever overflow of Post-it notes are generated in the next couple of months. So it kind of just fuels itself. I can do about 2 books a year.
Awesome. So, that's really cool.
Yeah.
So how long does a book usually take?
It's usually about 6 months worth of, comics. It's about 100 strips. I actually generate a little bit more than that, but it's good to have, be able to pick and choose the ones that end up in the book. Yeah. So I think there's about 10 that haven't made it into the book yet.
Oh, cool. So when you were starting out with your puppetry and as a cartoonist, why did you get into those 2 specifically?
Well, I can remember being in high school. I graduated in 1990, and I was like, well, I either want to be a cartoonist or a puppeteer. And I'd never done any puppetry. I don't know why I thought that I would be good at that, but I do remember having this idea. And then Jim Henson died, and I was like, well, I guess puppetry's over. I guess I'll be a cartoonist. And that was about as much forethought went into it. But then I always say that I feel like I had 3 ships shot out from underneath me, because puppetry went away, and then not puppetry, but cartooning kind of newspaper cartooning went away. Yeah. Then puppetry kind of went away for a while with CGI, and then the other thing that animation. I worked in animation as well, and that all kind of went away when it went to CGI as well. So I was like, well, good thing I have graphic design to fall back on.
Yeah. So. Oh, cool. At least you've finally been able to do certain projects.
Yeah, and I've always been able to do my own stuff. It's always just getting paid to do the cartooning or the puppetry, but
yeah, exactly.
I find a way to do it a little bit here and there. as long as I can pay my bills, I don't really care how the money comes in. So.
Exactly. That's all that matters, I suppose. So what sort of stuff do you do with your puppetry then?
Well, I have all the Melonpool characters, which
Yeah.
I run around with. And then I've been doing a lot of slams, puppet slams the last couple of years. I did a Mr. Rogers murder mystery. I don't know if you know Mr. Rogers. And I did a couple other little ones. I'm working on another one involving dogs, which I'll probably do for a puppet slam in the future.
Nice. Yeah.
So it's just kind of me, like whatever interests me. That's kind of the easiest. It got to the point where I was doing like really low budget puppet builds for people using supplies I already had, and then I was like, well, I don't have any supplies to make the things I want to make for myself.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to stop doing these low budget ones that don't pay me anything, and just use that time and money to make my own stuff.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
So obviously you mentioned that you'll do some dog related puppetry. What else would you like to do down the line in the field of puppetry?
Oh, I'm always looking for that style of puppetry that doesn't look like Muppets and doesn't look like I'm getting into I've been getting into some stuff that that Paul Ashley did. I don't know if you've ever seen his stuff, but back in the 50s, he did these kind of combination ventriloquist dummy puppet things that work like this. And I've been kind of interested in maybe looking into at how that was done and maybe trying to develop something like that, because I'm very like gadgety,
Okay, cool.
But I just like to. I don't know if you ever saw the show Mongrels on the UK. It was on BBC.
I've heard of it. I don't know.
Yeah, I think that's a really cool, like non-Muppety Muppet look, and I've been kind of thinking about exploring that with the dogs, maybe kind of following that path. So yeah,
that'd be cool.
So it's kind of cool to just be able to take different influences. I mean, I just started teaching these classes with Puppet Pie, where I teach design and building and whatnot. And one thing I just recently discovered in the last couple of weeks is that I really approach building a puppet like I approach drawing something. Like it's all simple shapes that kind of go together to make more complex shapes.
Yeah. And
so I was like, if I can draw a circle and a triangle, I can make a sphere and a cone that can kind of go together to make it, whatever. It's kind of so it's been kind of interesting that I think that, I mean, everybody brings what their influences are differently to this medium.
Of course.
I've never met two puppet builders that build the same way, and I think it's kind of cool that I have kind of an interesting viewpoint of how to design based just from coming up through cartooning and animation. So
of course, because you've had that sort of experience with different drawings and
a different style. Medium.
So same question, but what's your plans going forward with as a cartoonist? Aside from the dog work you do.
I just do nothing but dog. No, I left Melonpool off on a cliffhanger about, it must be 7 or 8 years ago, and it's been hanging over my head ever since. So I've come up with an idea for a 6-week story arc that can tie up those loose ends and then leave it in a place where I can just update it sporadically. Like a gag comes to me and I can do it. And it's so weird because I approach both cartoons totally different. I keep a sketchbook and I'll come up with these really complicated storylines and work out the dialogue and everything for Melonpool. But with Tilly, it's just drawing it on a Post-it note, and that's as much thought as I put into it. So I think there's kind of a happy medium in there. And I have a third one that I did that I think I'll bring back at some point called Cryptozoe, which is about a little girl who hangs out with monsters like the Loch Ness Monster.
Cool.
And I did one comic book about that. And I have storylines for about 28 of these things I've never done anything with. And I think, well, maybe I'll do something with that. And that that started out as a puppet idea, and it may end up becoming a puppet idea again. I don't know. So.
Oh, cool. Seems like you've got a lot of ideas to...
I got a lot more ideas than I actually ever get around to.
I think that's the same for every creator. So is there a reason why you left on a cliffhanger?
So what happened was I was doing an off-Broadway show called Alien versus Musical with a buddy of mine. And it was basically Alien from the Alien movies attacking all these theater, musical theater characters like Annie and Maria from Sound of Music and Harold Hill. And my buddy wrote all the music. Each song was in the style of the original musical of all these different characters and they were attacked by this alien. And I had to build. I built the alien, the face hugger, the chest burster, the alien queen, and the power loader, all for this show.
Wow.
And
nice.
I was doing Melonpool at the time, and it just got to be too much for me. It's like, well, do I do this thing that could go somewhere, or do I keep putting more time and money into this comic strip that I've been whipping like a dead horse for 15 years at this point. So I decided I was going to take a short break, and I just never got back to it. So that's
okay. Yeah. So who thought that crazy idea of Alien v Annie and stuff?
So that was my friend. So I have this friend, Eric Patulski, who is a composer, and he's done a lot of musical theater and stuff, and he's written a few, and he's done a lot of music directing.
Yeah.
And we had started going to the Fringe festivals about 3 years before.
Right.
And every time I was like, we got to do a show. And he goes, I don't have any good ideas. And so I go, well, what make a good idea? And he goes, well, I think that a good musical for the Fringe would have 7 characters, 1 location, and be under an hour. And that same weekend he said that, I got the Alien box set. And I go, 7 characters, 1 location. This would make a great musical. And so I started pitching him, and he's like, no, that's a terrible idea. No. And so we actually talked about it for about 6 months. And and one night we'd gone to a movie and we were talking. I've known him since 8th grade, so we have a long friendship. And he or I, we can't remember who said, what about Alien versus musical, where the alien is actually taking on musicals? And the original idea was it was a community theater that was doing it was the make it or break it. The show must go on, and the alien lands and starts attacking and killing the cast. And we worked on that for about 3 months, and we decided, okay, we got to write this now or it's over. We're not going to get this done. And so we hold ourselves up in a hotel room for 3 days. And the first day he goes, I don't think this idea is working. Why do they keep singing after the first guy dies? And I go, because the show must go on. He's like, that doesn't work. And so he ended up pitching me the idea of using established musical theater characters and have them take it. And so we actually we watched a bunch of musical. We knew a lot of musicals. I didn't know very many, but I could at least name 5 or 6 of them that I'd seen. And so we went through the original Alien, and we kind of matched up. Okay, well, Maria's going to be like Ripley, and Harold Hill's going to be like Ash the robot, and it just kind of went. Jean Valjean is going to be like the Tom Skerritt character, and we kind of went through the whole thing and came up with those characters. Then we added a couple more, and we wanted Annie to be like Newt from the second one, where and so we did this whole thing, and it picked up at Fringe, and we did it a second year, and then we ended up getting doing a Kickstarter, and we did it off Broadway January before last, and It was really cool. It was really cool. I mean, I built these giant puppets, and they're all made out of junk, and kind of had the same look of the alien stuff, but if you looked real close, it was all made out of like foam rubber and kids' toys and stuff.
Nice. That's a really cool and unique idea.
We're still looking for another idea. We want to find that thing that is kind of the perfect marriage of his cartooning, his musical composing and whatnot, and my building crazy stuff, and then we both have very similar senses of humor, so it's kind of like being able to put that together. So someday we'll have another one.
That'd be great. Annie didn't die, did she?
She's the only one that survived.
Oh, wow. So after all that, she was still an orphan.
She's still an orphan, yeah.
So throughout your career, obviously, you've done a lot, it seems. What are some of your more personal achievements?
Well, I think it's funny. The one thing I always say with that Alien versus musical was that, I built all these crazy things, and the thing I was most proud of was I was able to figure out how to alter the dress that Maria wore to make it a breakaway, because I'd never done that before. It was I gotta make this outfit for her, and that was kind of cool. But I did the Honey there's this app called Honey that
the free browser thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I did a puppet for that, and I actually puppeteered it. It was the only thing I've ever built, puppeteered, and kind of brokered myself. It was never
nice.
working with somebody else, and that was kind of cool. And I also think the main thing that I've ever contributed was just so many web cartoonists have said, I thought about putting a comic online, and then I saw what you did, and I knew I could do it. And I don't know if that means that I was so bad at it that they thought they could do better, or it just kind of. And so I think that kind of legacy of being able to inspire other people to do stuff is kind of cool.
Nice, that's awesome. It seems like your work's doing very well for itself. So,
well, it looks that way sometimes. there's a lot of dead areas in there that where I just I get really exhausted. I put everything into it, and then it's just like I got to take time off. I can't do it too much, and like I said, I don't get paid for a lot of the stuff I do, so it's like just because I do it for myself, and only so long you can do that before you have to beg for money. So
exactly, yeah, I totally get it. So obviously we spoke about what you want to do down the line. What is the dream for you? What do you want to do in say 5-10 years?
Oh, I would love to. I'll tell you, the one thing I've always wanted to do is not necessarily create a TV show, but I would love to design the characters for a TV show, like a new animated series or a puppet series. I would love to. Usually, when I design for other people, there's always this kind of collaborative thing where the client wants one thing, and I try and get that, but while also trying to figure out how to put somebody's hand up inside of it to make it work as a puppet.
Of course, yeah.
But then it gets to the builder, and then the builder kind of puts their own spin on it and stuff. I would love to be approached because they like my art style and say, can you design this show? What would be your take on this show? And I think that would be like what the thing I would love to do is be a design, like a character or world designer, I guess.
Nice.
So, yeah.
They're always the best parts of the show or the film. It's the scenery.
Yeah. Well, there's I like aesthetic limitations. It's like you look at a show like Mystery Science Theater 3000, and it's all made of junk, and it's all like these great puppets that are made out of junk. I mean, that's both a budgetary choice and a choice after that point of everything's going to be made of junk, and I love that. Or I'm going to make a animated series and really keep myself limited to these things because I just really feel like it fuels the best stuff when you have to overcome these little limitations.
Yeah, exactly. I totally agree.
Yeah.
So I just want to finish off on one final question, and that is, do you have any other interests going forward that you'd like to pursue?
Oh, let me think. It's hard to say because I think I've done some pretty. I mean, like the two things I want to do in high school, like I've done, kind of professionally to some extent, and it's weird. It's weird to think that, but I'm trying to think what are some of the other things I want to do. Well, I would love to get paid to create something. That's kind of the dream. And there's been a couple of times when I have been able to do that, but I've been getting more and more into. I enjoy teaching other people. That's a hard question. I can't really think of anything that I really want to do. If it occurs to me, I end up just doing it. So,
I totally get that because obviously, as you said, you're doing two things you're passionate about from the age of 14.
6.
Oh, 6, yeah.
I was a cartoonist. I wanted to be a cartoonist when I was 6, from 6 on, and then I really, I think I really thought about being a puppeteer seriously about when I was 25, 26. So it's like a little, but there was a big gap because I was like, well, Jim Henson's dead. This is over.
It's over. It's dead. Puppeteer.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that really goes to show, especially in America, that our knowledge is the Muppets. As far as puppets goes, there's so much out there that I've discovered after that I didn't really even know about when I was 16 years old, 17 years old.
Yeah, well, I think that's the thing, though, isn't it? Muppets and Sesame Street obviously took over everything in regards to kids' TV and puppetry. It was just right at the top. It's still huge now, isn't it?
For the longest time, that moving mouth style was all I knew. But I've really gotten into the the glove puppet, and I'm kind of getting into again a little bit of the marionette type controls in that type of puppet.
Yeah.
And for the longest time I was working on a puppet and I never finished it, but it was, you actually operate it backwards, and it was a cat puppet that didn't have a mouth, but the mouth would be on the front of it, but it could do this thing where the ears would do all kinds of weird stuff by doing that. I never could get it to quite work, but I just trying to explore those things that are different about, you get so locked into this one style that you kind of lose your own voice. And I was kind of, I like to kind of explore those things if I can.
Yeah, I totally get that, because obviously you want to expand your work and your mindset on the job you want to do, obviously.
Right.
Yeah. So that's about it. I want to ask you, Steve. So thank you.
Oh, thank you very much. And is this a video podcast or just audio?
It's video.
Oh, great. Okay, awesome.
So this will go up at some point, which I'll keep you posted on. So
sounds fantastic, and I'll make sure to let everybody know that it went up. Thanks a lot for thinking of me.
Yeah, you're very welcome.
Okay.
Have a good day and take care.
You too. Bye.
Steve, bye.